when people start to use their voice, they recognize how much more deeply they can live and from what part of their body they can grow, and what it means then to go forward and practice with these techniques, but then to kind of stand aside and watch how things happen through their lives by using the new muscles, or the original muscles, I should say, to sing and speak from. Because coming from the core also relaxes the upper part of the body. The throat relaxes, the shoulders relax, and showing up more relaxed without this edge to the voice changes everything. It changes the way they feel. It changes the way people that they are speaking with feel. It changes their relationships, and they're just learning how to sing. It's not necessarily just to learn how to sing. It's to heal all kinds of things. Because if they're not singing, a deep part of their expression is not being allowed to be free. And that comes from somewhere deep. So the voice lessons are, I guess, closeted spiritual counseling sessions because it comes through from the core. So because I've always been an extrovert, because I've always sung all my life, I just assumed everybody else could too, until I started teaching privately. I realized that there were so many people whose singing was such a foreign animal to them. They'd never sung before in their lives. And more than likely it was because someone told them they couldn't, and they didn't sound good. You can't carry a tune in a bucket. Why don't you just move your lips, honey? Why don't you take piano instead? Oh, I heard it all, it broke my heart. Those are the people I started to attract. And when they started singing beautifully, hitting the notes they wanted to hit, singing on key, and hearing such a mellifluous sound coming from their bodies, they would weep, and then they would heal. One woman left an abusive relationship because she said she found her voice. Another one healed from asthma, and with the doctor's okay, of course, took herself off of asthma medication because she was breathing more deeply. One woman I was working with could not hit the high notes for anything, and out of frustration I just had her sigh, and when she finally went, "Oh!" from way down there, she realized, oh my God, I never screamed. She had been abused, and that was still locked in there. So vocalization from those primal muscles physically used to express the voice changes everything. Not only enables to open up the throat so we can sing what we feel and hear to the glory of the universe, but it unlocks the anger and the anguish and the undeservedness and all of those negativities that we have pushed down into that space. And as we sing from those muscles, very often we weep because we're pushing out the toxic emotion along with the airflow through the vocal cords. And those toxic emotions can be more easily released if they indeed come from where they've been locked up all those years. So it became such a wonderful modicum of healing. One primal purge after another, using those muscles. I didn't realize how much I was changing from within, and I had no idea how much those people I was forgiving would change. So obviously, that Sing for Your Soul evolved into Harmonies of Healing. It only takes 2 minutes. First of all, I'll demonstrate the disconnect. Notice the shape of the voice, the edge. Now I'm using the walls of my throat, and you can almost see the edge. You can hear a definitive tension. You can tell where the voice is coming from, and the whole sound circle, the sphere, is non-existent. I'm only using about the top fourth or third or so of that sound circle. And squeezing my throat muscles together, I'm only allowing a little bit of space for my sound waves to vibrate in, right up here next to my nose. And you can feel that, can't you? As soon as I breathe more deeply, and use those muscles instead. Now I'm pushing my air physically, literally, from the low muscles below the diaphragm, pushing the air so quickly, so unashamed, through the vocal cords that the throat muscles simply don't have a chance to squeeze shut. Now with all that open space, there's a lot more shape to the sound itself, a lot more bass, and I haven't lowered my pitch at all. I've just unstrangulated the sound and added more depth. So you can see more bass, more mid-range, and a lot less of that nasty treble. And that's only because I'm pushing out the air as quickly as I am now, breathing more often, breathing more deeply, consequently staying more relaxed, staying more centered, able to communicate more clearly, and able to allow my core, my intuition, to speak through me. I am no longer thinking about what it is I'm going to say, which not only helps my communication, obviously, but it enhances my listening skills greatly. I used to think about what it was I was going to say while somebody else was talking. How good a listener does that make me? Now what I do is breathe, and I summon up these muscles, and I add a little bit of contraction as I push the air through the vocal cords, and I stand aside and listen to hear what it is I have to say. And it's always perfect, as long as it comes from my center. But I learned through vocalization, through being connected with my core physically, that my intuition was getting stronger as I was singing more and teaching more how to use those core muscles. And it was interesting to learn that the intuition is from the same part of the body that the fear is stored in. So the first step to get there, to remind the muscles how to work, is one of my favorite exercises, and it's simply to hiss. So when you take in a low, deep belly breath and you hiss it out, you can tell immediately what muscles are working. Those are the muscles that we're born to sing from and with. Those are the muscles that we yell and scream from as infants until we're told to shut up and sit down. At the very worst, abuse, right? What do we do with that? We suck it up. Literally. We learn to breathe thoracically from our chest muscles for salvation. And at some level that does save us. But then, the more we breathe up here, the only muscles we can speak from is here. So we grow up walking wounded, expecting the next shoe to drop, right? Having to breathe thoracically. But when we start relaxing and breathing from the core, not only can I start to use those muscles more organically, more authentically, like they were to be used when I was born, but it also very quickly starts to unlock all the reasons I was shut down in the first place, which is why many people start to weep when they first start taking voice lessons from me, because they're unlocking all of that energy. What I've always learned is not true. Especially, who do you think you are? You can't sing. You know, all of those old tapes require to be let go when we're coming from our core.